Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're putting the top dog gaming CPU, the 9800X3D, head to head against the still legendary 7800X3D. These are the two best gaming CPUs you can buy right now, and we're about to find out just how much difference there really is between them in Battlefield 6. Before we dive into the benchmarks, here's the setup I used for testing. Both CPUs were tested on an ASRock X870E Nova motherboard paired with 64 gigs of DDR5 running at 6000 CL30 and a Zotac Solid 5090. For storage, I used an Aorus 10K Gen 5 NVMe SSD. Both chips were tuned using custom PBO profiles with maxed out F clocks and 1-to-1 synchronized, and the U clock and M clocks were synchronized 1-to-1. If you want to see the exact tuning setups I used for each CPU, check out my walkthroughs linked in the top right corner or down in the description. For the in-game settings, I used the low graphics preset to make sure we're testing pure CPU performance and minimize GPU bottlenecks as much as possible. Also doesn't hurt that I'm using a 5090 here. For the benchmark itself, I jumped into live conquest matches on the Manhattan Bridge map. Each test followed the same route from the right side spawn, repeated 3 times each at 1080, 1440, and 4K. I then averaged those results to keep the comparisons accurate and consistent. At 1080p, the 9800X3D averaged 267 FPS, while the 7800X3D came in at 219. That's roughly a 22% uplift. The 1% and 0.1% lows were also noticeably stronger, with the 9800X3D holding higher consistency. That said, both chips already pushed Battlefield 6 to extremely high frame rates, and in actual gameplay, it's kind of tough to feel a difference when you're sitting above 200 FPS most of the time. It's more of a technical win in my opinion. It felt extremely smooth on both chips. Moving up to 1440, the 9800X3D still maintains a solid lead, 265 FPS versus 208, or about a 27% improvement. 1% lows were up by around 32%, showing smoother frame pacing. But again, the 7800X3D's performance remains excellent. I mean, once you're above 200 FPS, the gameplay feels and looks equally fluid. So while the 9800X3D's numbers are undeniably better, the actual experience isn't drastically different. At 4K, we start to see the scaling tighten up just a little bit. The 9800X3D averaged 238 FPS, while the 7800X3D hit 194, giving roughly a 23% gain in average FPS. The 1% and 0.1% lows were a similar story, with 29 and 20% uplifts respectively. Even in 4K, both CPUs are delivering phenomenal performance, and although there's about a 20 to 30% difference in numbers, the gap between them is actually pretty hard to feel in real-world play. So like I've been saying, the 9800X3D is technically faster in every metric, but in practice, both chips deliver an elite level experience. Unless you're chasing the absolute highest competitive numbers, the difference between the two in actual gameplay feels very minimal. In terms of power and temps, the 9800X3D averaged 82 watts while the 7800X3D was at 66. For temps, the 9800X3D ran almost 10 degrees cooler at 53 degrees versus 62 on the 7800X3D. Overall, Battlefield 6 clearly shows why the 9800X3D is the top dog gaming CPU right now, but if you already own a 7800X3D, upgrading solely for Battlefield 6 probably isn't worth it from a value perspective. However, if you're building a new system or want the absolute best performance possible, the 9800X3D gives you that extra edge and will hold up slightly better as future updates roll out. At the end of the day, both chips deliver high-end FPS gaming. It just comes down to whether you prioritize maximum performance or the best value. Alright, that's all I got for this one, guys. If you found the video helpful, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It really supports the channel and helps me keep bringing you comparisons like this. And if not, no worries. Thanks for stopping by and watching anyway, and I'll see you in the next one.